Backstage with Mothership on Solid Rock Radio begins now. Hear the best in new music, artist interviews, stories from the road, and more. You are now backstage, and here's your host, Mothership.
Hey everybody, All Together United is back with a new lead singer and a new single produced by Jake Jones. Let's find out more. All Together United, I want to learn about you guys. I think we'll start with you, Chad, because you founded the band, correct?
I did. We are a little over 11 years old now. I founded it with three other co-founders back in May of 2013.
What would you say your genre is? Contemporary Christian, rock? Where do you fall?
We've been kind of riding the line in both the entire time. I'm not big on labels, so it's like I know artists and stuff kind of get pushed into or squeezed into specific genres or styles, but we've just kind of done what we've done. And it's fit various molds along the way with the three albums that we've done to date. Some have been a little bit more CCM than others. Some have had a little bit more rock edge than others.
Where are you from, Chad?
I'm originally from sunny Southern California, but I moved to Southeast Missouri back in end of '05 between Christmas and New Year's. I started looking for band members in 2012. About fall of 2012. That was back in the days where you looked for band members on things like Craigslist. And so fast forward to early 2013, I found my founding lead singer. His name's David. Found him on Craigslist. And then together we actually found the other two pieces, Terry and Derek, bass and guitar respectively. And so the lineup was completed by May, and they were all three based in the Nashville metro area. So I would actually go out there for multiple days at a time, and we'd rehearse in rehearsal space and stuff out there. And we went to the studio for the first time in fall of 2013 to do our first EP.
What might be some of your backlist singles people might recognize?
Most notable singles that we've done, we did a Tori Kelly cover of her song Hollow. That was a big single for us back in 2019, actually, into 2020. Other singles we've done Star, and we've done our last EP, the title track called Anything is Possible. Those were probably our biggest singles to date.
Okay. All Together United has a new lead singer, Caleb Allen, and we have him here too. Let's hear a little bit about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a worship leader here in the Kansas City area, and I have been for the last couple of years. Currently with a church called Overflow, brand new church plant here in Kansas City, about to celebrate their second year with a church planter that I met whenever I moved up here. And so God's been really good to us, and I was a worship leader still whenever I found out about the band, and it was a weird thing because I wasn't looking to be part of a band at that time. I really was kind of happy doing what I was doing. But for some reason, I just felt like I needed to reach out. And they had posted looking for a lead singer. I listened to a couple of their songs, and I was like, I just want to see where this might go. So I did that. And then Chad reached out a couple days after that. And we had a really good conversation just about his vision for where he saw it going. And it turns out that it matched a lot of my music visions from years ago when I toured with my own band. And I did that for a little while, and then kind of family life became the much bigger priority for me. And so I've been in ministry for the last 6 years. But before that, I toured with my family, and I toured with my own solo band for a little while and recorded a couple albums myself. And there was just a piece of me that was still missing, that touring artist piece that was still missing. And Chad was kind of describing what my mission was whenever I was doing more of the solo artist thing, where I would go places with my music where they would never have a worship leader go, or they would never even have my family go. We sang more of Southern gospel. We did a lot of churches and things like that. And I just had a heart for being able to reach beyond where Christian music can normally go. And Chad was really reiterating that. And so they had a show coming up, and I said, well, why don't I just sing that show with you guys, and we'll see where it goes from there. And now I've been part of the band for almost a year now.
Yeah, so our first voyage into, life on the road and life on stage with Caleb, we were headlining Nehemiah Fest, which is the largest indie Christian music festival in the state of Missouri. We headlined it last year.
I was like, at the very least, if this never goes anywhere else, I can learn, a 45-minute set and then go sing with you guys this one time. And then we ended up doing a camp right after that, and then we started talking about where it could go from there. And it's been really cool to see what God's done.
Very nice. So Caleb practically came out of the womb singing on stage.
Pretty much. Dad used to say some kids are born with silver spoons in their mouths. Our kids were born with microphones in their mouths.
Chad, what got you into music, and how did you get into drums?
I have been into music probably ever since I was at least 3, or so I was told. I can remember times sitting in the back seat of the car with my mom driving. This was before like preschool and stuff, so she was taking me with her to work. And I'd be in the back seat and I wouldn't know the lyrics to the song, but I could either tap my foot or my leg in almost perfect time, and then I could pick up on the melody of the songs and hum it without even knowing the words or even knowing what melody was coming next. So I really got into singing and stuff just for my own personal pleasure. And then fast forward to middle school, I actually joined a rather large and for the time period, rather prestigious children's choir out of the Crystal Cathedral in Garden Grove, California. Yeah, I was part of the Our Power Children's Choir for a handful of years. So we performed on TV several times, and so I really got into singing, but I didn't really get into the idea of wanting to play an instrument until about junior high. And I got to go to my first, we'll call it contemporary concert, and that was Carmen. And so I was like, oh, Christian music can sound like this, and that wasn't even like the really cool hip stuff. And so I was like, oh, I could do this. And then shortly thereafter, I was introduced to what I consider to be the godfathers of, what all of us do now, and that's DC Talk. The different styles and stuff they combined, I fell in love instantly, and I was like, oh yes, I can do this. The tragedy of it all, however, is my parents weren't exactly supportive of me learning an instrument. So growing up, I always knew I had kind of a special memory. I actually have a photographic memory. I don't have quite the eidetic memory. I remember quite a bit of stuff, but I mostly remember stuff in pictures and kind of like videos in my head. So with that said, I belong to an amazing youth group that would go to several concerts a year. We were usually going to 3 or 4 at least a year at various places. Not being able to play an instrument, I was like, well, I'll play it someday, I hope. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to memorize what I see on stage. So going to concerts of DC Talk and Audio Adrenaline, Newsboys, and so many others, I would just sit there and stare at the drummer and memorize what they did. So fast forward, I was serving in the Army, and I suffered an injury that basically took me out of the whole loop. And then in about 3.5 months time, I was home essentially with nothing to do. A friend of a friend was selling his little no-name 5-piece little drum set. And so for like $150, I was like, I'll take it. I got it set up, and during the day, I plug in I'm dating myself now. I plug in my Walkman and I would play the CDs from the artists that I had seen multiple times. And as I'm listening to the songs, I'm recalling in my head, I'm playing that kind of video log of my memory of these songs. And I started teaching myself how to play. And so I was 25 at the time. So that's kind of when my voyage into playing drums began. I was self-taught. I did a few lessons here and there at different periods in time, but that was kind of how I came to be a drummer.
You guys have a new single called Now that's going to be released on August 2nd. So this will air after the release. Can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that for now. So this is the first single that we've released since I joined the band. It is a song that was kind of put on ice for a little while during the transition between lead singers, and so that we were able to kind of bring it back to life. And we did a little bit of rewriting on it, did a little bit of punching it up, and sent it to some friends of ours to get their input on it. And I'm really impressed with how it turned out. I think that it really sets the tone for the direction the band wants to go. I think that just as a standalone song, I know sometimes, you release just one single and people aren't all that excited about it. But I think what's cool about this particular release, this single, is it's going to sound completely different than anything that ATU has done before. And I think that's going to be really exciting to a lot of fans, especially since, Chad, we've not had a release in quite a while. This is going on 4 years in between songs. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited about the buzz that this could potentially create among all the ATU fans, and hopefully bring some new fans in as we start taking this music to the road. And there's obviously lots more songs to come, but I think this is a really good example of what you can expect moving forward with our new sound and the direction that we want to go and the identity of the band. So I'm really, really pleased with how it turned out, and I can't wait for people to hear it.
Tell us a little more about the actual song.
The song right now, it's kind of turned into an anthem song. It's when it first starts, it's got this really interesting kind of grungy vibe, and then it's got a verse that talks kind of about who I used to be, right? And so it's kind of setting up this whole I used to be this kind of person, going this way, doing this thing. And then all of a sudden there's a pre-chorus that goes, turn off the automatic, turn down all the static, and let your love guide the way through all the noise. And so that leads us into this really big anthem-y type chorus where the whole refrain of the entire song is, we don't have to wait for one more day, we're going to rise up now. And then when you get to the bridge, it's just kind of, it becomes more of like a marching chant that just builds into another big, huge anthem of, hey, we don't have to wait for one more day. We don't have to wait for another song. We can rise up now. And I think one of the cool things about this song is it gives a lot of opportunity for when we're doing it live for the audience to get involved. And because it's such an anthem song, because it's like one of those, classic rock anthem type of numbers, and because the lyrics are so simple, especially throughout the chorus and once you get into the bridge, I think it gives a lot of room for people to be able to get it quickly, to sing along, maybe to shout out a couple of We Will Rise Up Nows with us whenever we get to that part. And so I'm excited to see how the song could even take on a new life once we actually get it onto the road and onto the stage. But the recording of it just turned out absolutely fantastic, and I couldn't be more thrilled with it.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, our producer, who Jake.
Yeah, we're talking Jake Jones, formerly of We As Human and of As We Ascend, and Jake Jones Productions.
That is correct. One of the biggest compliments that I took from comment he made a while back was the bridge, which is one of the main rewrites that Caleb did for the song. He's like, that bridge is just awesome. I can't get it out of my head. He's like, I just keep singing it over and over and over again in my head. That's one of the awesome talents I think that Caleb brings to the table, is his simplicity in his lyrics. Coming out with a song like this that is so catchy, especially that particular section, I think is just going to help it really explode and really speak to fans of ours, as well as the goal is to bring in many more new fans that don't maybe know who we are or what our sound is.
Yeah, in the biz, we call that a tease. If you don't want to go hear the bridge, I don't know what else he can say to make you want to go hear the bridge.
Go to the bridge. So Jake produced this for you guys.
Correct. He is our producer from now on.
Well, what is y'all's creative process? How do y'all divide that up?
Yeah, what was interesting about this song is, like I said, it had kind of been maybe 80% done by the time I joined the band. And so there was a set of lyrics already for it. The track was mostly done. They had already put a lot of time and effort into it. And so the creative process for this particular song, I think, is going to end up being quite a bit different than going forward. But for this one, basically what I did was I took a look at it and I said, okay, so based on where we want to be and what the identity is, and then it's also really important for me as a lead singer to sing a song that I really believe in, and I feel like this is the best that we could have done with this song. And so there was a couple of lyric things that I felt, for it to be authentic to who we want to be going forward and authentic to me as a singer, it would need a little bit of changing. It definitely fit who they were more than who they wanted to be, right? And so I looked at the song and I was like, okay, I think the biggest thing we could change is this bridge and make it still work with the track that we already have. And so I rewrote it really quickly, sent it back to everybody. It was like, okay, so tell me what you think about this. And that's really how the creative process of this song kind of matured. It was, like I said, it was pretty much done. It was just a couple of rewrites and my vocals being added to it. Going forward, we're looking at doing some of my originals that I've written from scratch. And then musically, we haven't actually gotten to do that yet. And I'm really excited about when we all get to kind of sit down and work on a song and build it from the ground up. Something that I've done with my family and with the other music that I've created as a band. We haven't done that yet. And it'll be really exciting.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get to do a little bit more of that with the one we're taking to the studio in the fall. I think it's mostly lyrically done or somewhat lyrically done, but I think we'll get to finish that one a little bit more as a combined effort. Mm-hmm. That one, Jake and I are executive producing it, but that one will be produced by my friends Nine Lashes. Oh. So they've been good friends of mine since 2012. And they had been asking me off and on, we'd really like to work with you on one. Yeah.
Are you aiming for a full album or an EP anytime soon? Or are y'all just going for the single releases? Or
long story short, we're aiming for a new album. We have not put out a full length since 2015. So we're looking to do another full length again. And like Caleb said, the goal is to kind of broaden our musical horizons a bit, venture into where we want to go versus where we've been. And we want to make our music eclectic so that it doesn't really pigeonhole us into a specific, oh, you guys play, CCM, so we're going to stick you over here, or you guys play rock, so we're going to stick you over here. We want to be able to get in anywhere that's willing and wanting to have us. So,
okay.
Yeah, there might be stuff that is, a bit more pop driven. There might be stuff that's a little bit more edgy and rock driven. There might be some middle of the road stuff. Yeah, I think our road is kind of wide open now that Caleb's on board, and we're just trucking forward. So
yeah, seems like Caleb's been a shot in the arm to the band.
He really has. He really has. Last year was a tough year for us. The lead singer from our previous project stepped down after getting the ball rolling on this current song that we're getting ready to release next week, as a matter of fact. And we were recording that at Jake's house when he still lived in Tennessee. That was back in late summer of 22. And about a month and a half or so later is when that singer stepped down. So from that point until we got Caleb on board, we were struggling. We were kind of floundering, didn't really know what to do. We had a lead singer search out there with a couple failed attempts. And then Caleb came a-calling. And so we sat down, met with him, and we seemed to gel. And I don't know if he'd tell you this, but the funny thing was, he's told us before, he's like, I came in looking for every excuse for this, not to work, for me to be able to say, nope, I'm good, never mind. Yeah. And we just, we gelled so easily. The core of us being myself and Caleb and Steve Miller, our bassist, we all come from kind of different places, different spaces, but we get along very well. And I mean, we can be honest with one another. It's been a great working relationship thus far, and that's why I look so intently forward to doors that are going to be opened from all of us coming together and our cohesion and stuff moving forward.
We've set the single release date for Friday, August the 2nd, and pre-release pre-orders will be available this Friday. And in conjunction with that pre-release, we'll have an all-new website. We'll have all new social stuff, and we may even have a fun competition or two for the fans to celebrate the release of the album. So definitely stay in touch and keep watching, because there's a song coming out. We're going to try to make as much of it as we possibly can to reignite the fan base, get everybody excited again, and start launching into our next tour. So
how about a personal message to your fans?
We miss you. Come back to us.
Come home.
No, we're excited to re-embrace our fans that we've had for over a decade now, and we're even more excited to embrace those that are going to be new fans from this era moving forward. And really excited as to see the cross section of demographics that I think our music moving forward is going to touch. You know, like Caleb said earlier, you know, we want to go in places that might be unexpected, and just having that opportunity, that open door to go in there and be able to share with them our music and share our ministry, and just have fun with the people, have fun with one another on stage, just get people excited about this new chapter in the story of Altogether United.
That sounds exciting. How about some get to know you questions?
Bring it.
Who would you most like to collaborate with? Have you ever even thought about it?
I have. I've actually thought about this recently. There's a couple different people. My dream collaboration for years and years and years and years, I've always wanted to collab with Toby Mac, because that dude is like my musical. I hate using the word idol, so I use the word icon instead, but he is like my musical icon. He's just, you know, I met him several times. I know what he's like, and he's just an awesome dude from, you know, stage to chilling out. The other one that's actually come to mind here recently, about the last year and a half or so, is I would really love to collab with Ryan Tedder from One Republic. I mean, the dude's a phenomenal songwriter. He's a phenomenal producer. I love what he brings to the table in both of those arenas. So I think that would be really fun.
What do you think about his collab once, Caleb?
I like both of those. I think I'd add to that. I think an interesting collab, especially for us, because it would be a nice crossover, but it would definitely be a crossover. Would be Need to Breathe. I think Need to Breathe would be a really fun collab. And if they're looking for anybody to, you know, open for them or anything, we're available.
Yes, very much available.
Slide into your DMs.
Absolutely.
Yep. What's one thing that you've always wanted to do but you haven't done yet?
Skydive.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't want to do that at all. You can do it. You can do it twice for the both of us.
Oh, okay.
So what do you want to do, Caleb?
I don't know. Mine feels like cheating because I'm a big golfer. I love to play golf. So mine is like I would love to play golf in Ireland and Scotland, you know, the places where golf was born. So I'd love to do that. That's bucket list material.
Wow, that's swanky right there.
So yeah, we need to work on an international, you know, like a UK tour.
It'd be a step up from the $25 courses that I play on the Ridge. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying I'm playing really nice courses now. Just say it'd be nice.
Yeah. You've been golfing for a little while, Caleb?
I have. My dad took me out when I was little boy, like 6 years old. First time that I went, and we made a big deal out of it. That was kind of our thing. Every time he would go, and every little city we visited as we were traveling, he'd find a pastor friend and he'd go play. And eventually I became the third person in the foursome. And that just was kind of our bonding. And I kind of, whenever I got off the road, I took to it maybe even more intensely than he ever did, and tried to get really good at it. And, you know, I practice whenever I can. But one of my favorite things to do is just go in my backyard and chip back and forth. It helps me clear my mind. So yeah, I'll do that all the time.
You bonded over that. So that's a neat
absolutely.
Memory. Yeah. Well, that's something you haven't done. What's the most difficult thing you've ever done?
There's a lot.
Survive my accident.
His is easy. I'm not going to be able to top yours, so let me go first. So like there's a lot of things that were like really hard to go through emotionally, but I'm going to go a different way. A little bit of backstory. My family grew up traveling in buses all the time, and we had the bus that we were currently in. We called it the lemon bus because if anything could go wrong with it, it went wrong. It was the kind of bus where we had it rebuilt and we were doing it custom, and the guy who did it didn't really know what he was doing. And so it had a slide out on it that didn't seal real well. And so whenever my dad would stop real quick, if it had rained anytime in the last week, he would take a shower because the slide out would pour water all over his back when he would slam on the brakes. So it was that kind of bus. The windshield was coming out on it a little bit. And it just was like, we were out in West Texas, which there's nothing in West Texas. We were on that stretch of road where exits are 100 miles apart, and transmission went out. and stayed out for a really long time. And we basically lived out of a trailer and a 15-passenger van and hotels, and continued doing all of the touring that we had planned for over 3 months. We traveled like that. And I was obviously not in charge then, so it wasn't as hard for me as I'm sure it was for my parents. But I was late teens at that point, and that was a very interesting, somewhat fun, but it got old really, really fast because your entire life is in a trailer that you're pulling behind your van, and that's all you have access to. So if you thought living on a bus limited the amount of possessions you had access to, try moving all those possessions into a little trailer in the back of a 15-passenger van 3 or 4 months. So that was probably the hardest thing that we've done.
Yeah, I can't roll like that.
Did you want to share any of your story, Chad?
I technically joined the Army end of 99. I was on the delayed entry program, but went through basic and AIT in the late winter and spring of 2000. First duty station was in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Got new orders of 01 for Germany. So I arrived in Germany latter January of 02, and fast forward to we're training in the field because obviously 9/11 has already happened and armed forces were in Operation Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom. And so we were training downrange for deployment. We were slated to deploy in April of 03. Subsequently, I was injured. I suffered a head injury. Basically, I took on 30,000 pounds with my head and lived to tell about it.
My
goodness. So the way it unfolds, God's hand was over the whole thing, and there was no dispute or doubt about it, and you'll see that as I tell the story. So I'm at the wash rack with the commander's vehicle, and 2 days prior, I had suffered a back injury that hospitalized me for observation. So I'm not supposed to be there in the first place because I'm on medical profile, but alas, I'm there. I was plugging the hose in. Well, my driver got out when he wasn't supposed to. So the trailer that we were towing was fully loaded. And then because the Germans recycle their water on posts, all the vehicles park at a decline for the water runoff. And so he got out. The weight of the trailer caused the whole thing to start sliding back. And the tailgate caught me in the left temple and pushed me up against the wall, which just happened to be 9 inches of reinforced concrete, and essentially popped my head like a grape. Now, here's where God comes into play for real. So about 3 stalls down, there was another 2-man crew washing their vehicle, and one of the two was, for whatever reason, paying attention to us. And so he basically watched all of this unfold. He realized what was happening, so he took off over to help and tell my driver to get back in and move so he could get me out from behind it and everything. Well, his friend all of a sudden turns around like, hey, where's my battle buddy at? And he realizes and sees what's going on. So he takes off in chase after his friend to the situation. As the second guy's coming to my aid as well, he happens to look over, and at the same time, on the street that's running parallel with the wash rack, just happens to be a medic Humvee with a dock in it, which you couldn't have timed that any better if you tried. And so there's a 4-way stop at the end. Doc gets to the corner, and the second guy from the other crew is like screaming like a banshee trying to flag the Humvee down. The doc hears noise, isn't quite sure what it is, and so he pops his door open, sees the guy signaling, and tells his driver something's wrong, let's go. So he had his driver on the horn to a medevac instantly, and so I was getting treatment within, I'm guessing, 60 to 90 seconds from the time it happened, is what I understand, what I've been told through secondhand. And so they got me treatment right away. They got me to the clinic. They got me stabilized. Fast forward, I'm in a coma for 2.5 weeks. I've basically been repaired from my upper jaw to about the middle top of my head. Yeah. Subsequently, though, I lost vision but not movement in my right eye, and I've got limited vision in my left eye. I kind of like to in some ways kind of compare myself to Rick Allen, the drummer for Def Leppard. He plays with one arm, I play with one eye. So
wow, that is a miracle.
Yep.
I told you I couldn't beat it, so I needed to go first.
Is there one thing that you could say you would like to accomplish with the band All Together United?
That's a loaded question.
This is just the place of life that I'm in. I am very much in a place of I want to make music I believe in and get it out to as many people as possible. And so like the goal that I want to accomplish with the band is really just that goal. It's reawakening a piece of me. I'll put it this way. I don't feel the need to accomplish anything amazing as other people would define it to feel like being part of this band was a really good experience for me.
I would agree with that. The only thing I would, add is, I'd really like the opportunity in the next, 18 to 24 months to really get out there, share our music, but also be able to support other artists out there, whether they be, signed artists or indie artists, it doesn't matter, but just really get out there, have fun, share with others, and just, do the road thing.
Well, thank you, guys.
Well, thank you for doing this. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more great music and check out my blog page on the Solid Rock Radio website for my guests' social media links. If you've missed any of my past interviews, you can find them uploaded to podcast.solidrockradio.org. Have a wonderful week and let's be kind to one another.